Let's say hello and good morning, as it's a Thursday morning. Stratford-upon-Avon movie critic James Luxford is with me this morning. James, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us on CWR. What's Stratford-upon-Avon look like this morning?
It's very sunny for a change, and my cat came running through the front room into our conservatory, and I think
Did they? Really?
he's basking in the rays. Yeah, he's enjoying the sunshine. I think he can't even believe it.
I'm glad they like it. Good stuff. All right. Film recommendations. The cinemas are back open again. When we spoke to you last week, you said you went out and got a big fat slice of a movie classic because you wanted to get that feeling of being back in the cinema with something comfortable to watch rather than go and watch it as a critic. What else have you been catching up with this week?
I've been catching up with a lot of new movies, but also the news that cinemas, as you say, opened on the 17th and last week did huge business, making around £10 million in the first week, despite reduced capacity, despite earlier closing times. And that's huge. I feel like I've been asked for about a year, is cinema dead? Is cinema dead? Is cinema ever coming back? It's not dead if we can help it, because a lot of people have gone out and seen a lot of things. Peter Rabbit 2 did very well. Godzilla vs. Kong, which is available on demand, did very well. I think people miss that big screen experience.
Good to know that people have gone back and enjoyed the cinema experience once again. Something that's out in cinemas from tomorrow. Your first pick, The Good Cruella.
Yes, it's this is my good film this week. It's Cruella in cinemas and on Disney Plus Premium from Friday. Emma Stone plays Cruella de Vil in the story of her early years in 1970s London.
From the very beginning, I realized I saw the world differently than everyone else. That didn't sit well with some people. But I wasn't for everyone. I guess they were always scared that I'd be a psycho.
It's out in cinemas on Friday. It's also available on, as you say, on Disney On Demand. Obviously, it's your good choice selection, James. I'm going to guess you liked it.
I really like this. I didn't think I would. I wasn't sure why we needed to know where Cruella de Vil came from, but it's a dark and really fabulous story. It's like a PG take on the Joker film from a couple of years ago, finding an origin story that's really interesting for a familiar character. Emma Thompson is just delightful as the villain, who's this kind of very caustic fashion designer. Think The Devil Wears Prada, but with a little bit of sort of Disney silliness thrown in. But Emma Stone for me steals it. It's a bit long, maybe over around 2 hours, maybe a little bit longer, which for a family film I always find a little bit long. But I had a lot of fun.
So that's your good selection. We get James now to pick a good, a bad, and an on-demand section for you every week. So if that's your good, what's your bad this week? One to avoid.
My one to avoid this week is Vanquish on cinemas and on demand from Friday. It's an action thriller starring the Australian actress Ruby Rose as a woman forced to turn to crime over one night when her daughter is abducted by a retired policeman played by Morgan Freeman.
Where is she?
You do what I tell you to do, and everything will be just fine. I need you tonight using some of your old skills. 5 stops, 5 pickups.
Who is she?
You know who she is. Just stay out of her way.
Morgan Freeman doing that kind of cool, calm, but also slightly menacing bit with his voice there.
Yes, and unfortunately, he's a legendary actor, but he can't save this. I thought this was terrible. It's just a bland John Wick ripoff. You know those films you see maybe in what it used to be kind of straight to DVD or in straight to on demand, where you see someone like Bruce Willis or occasionally people like Robert De Niro and go, "Gosh, why are they in this?" And they're in it for. They're in one room and they've clearly spent a day filming and probably picked up a very large check. It's that kind of movie, and It's a terrible script, very bland characters. As I say, just really leaning on the John Wick formula, but not quite capturing what made that special. I think with everything out at the moment, all the choice, this is one you can avoid.
Okay, Vanquish, the one to avoid. So if that's the bad, your on-demand selection for us, please.
It's Citizen Kane on iPlayer now, the second highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes. Orson Welles' classic sees him tell the life story of a tycoon named Charles Foster Kane.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you'll think about Mr. Kane. I can't imagine. You see, I play the part myself. Well, Kane is a hero and a scoundrel, a no account and a swell guy, a great lover, a great American citizen, and a dirty dog. It depends on who's talking about him.
Excellent. Orson Welles, of course, hugely charismatic, one of the classics. And the idea that you've been going to Rotten Tomatoes to get your views, James, is a new one. But this is, this defines the phrase classic, doesn't it, when it comes to movies?
Well, yes, I brought that up only because this made headlines recently when an old review was discovered and knocked its Rotten Tomatoes score below Paddington 2. So Paddington 2 technically became the greatest film of all time, and that made a lot of headlines. And I love Paddington 2; it's an amazing film, but so is Citizen Kane. It wrote the book on a lot of cinema's conventions, the amazing direction, the amazing acting. It's lasted this long for a very good reason, and I think we often say it's the Citizen Kane of this because that's how high the standard is. And I think it's still worthy. I think it's still a movie that if you haven't found it, if you haven't discovered it yet, it's well worth picking on.
Yeah, you're right. It's been the barometer, hasn't it, by which so much has also been judged by. And I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years from now, I can't believe they'll be doing that with Paddington 2. So I'm sure that's just a temporary blip when it comes to the surveys and the charts. James, always good to hear from you. Thanks so much. Enjoy the sunshine. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
James Luxford, they will be back with us next Thursday morning with movie picks for you on BBC CWR.